Hey everyone, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The day for today is Monday, May the 6th. We've had some really good hatches to talk about. We've got some really good weather. We've got really good water flows. So I'm excited to tell you all that, the fishing for trout around here in the western part of Virginia doesn't get a whole lot better, depending on what you like to do. If you're a dry fly fisherman, this is the time of year, and the conditions are quite good. So we were tending downward with our water levels. We were starting to get a little dry. I've talked about, the leaf out and what happens when, all the forests and the mountains around us leaf out. Our water table drops. We had 80s all last week. We had no rain. So it was starting to get a little dry. And on Friday night, they were calling for a little bit of rain to come in, and parts of the valley got over 2 inches. We got some really serious downpours, and then we got some more water on Saturday night as well. Speaking of rain, there's more in the forecast today. There's more tomorrow. There's some Wednesday. Looks like it's going to stay pretty wet and unsettled up until the weekend, and then things are going to cool off a little bit, and it should be pretty nice. So for those of you who need up to the minute info, like when we get 2 inches of rain overnight, it can really spoil your plans for the next day. These videos, I hope, help, but if we get a huge downpour on Thursday night, and you need to know where to go or what to do, just give us a call or email us, and we'll try and help you out. So let's get started up in the mountains. The mountains are fishing really well. I would say needed that good shot of rain to kind of keep things going. That's really the ticket for these brook trout. A lot of people say, when's the best months? When do they fish well? Well, the best month, if you have to pick only one, is May. And it's because we usually have perfect water flow, perfect water temperatures, and good food availability all at the same time. All right, so that's what's happening right now. We have all those boxes checked. And then later on this month into June, we'll begin to lose some of our aquatic insects, some of our mayflies, etc. But the fishing will stay good as long as we stay wet, as long as they have good cover, as long as they have good flow. They're going to continue to forage and spread out and eat and do all the things we love for them to do. So, we've got 4 more weeks for sure, but we could have 2 months, we could have 3 months. It just depends on how cool it stays and how much rain we get moving forward on how the mountains are going to fish. So bugs, just like last week, you can't go wrong. Hendricksons, Cahills. We even have some of our first drakes we started seeing hatch. Typically drakes around here, depending on where you are, will start a week or 2 before Memorial Day, and then last for a good 2 weeks after Memorial Day. But just like any other thing in nature, you can have some pop up a little early, some stay a little late, and that's what we've already seen. We've seen some yellow drakes and some other big mayflies, really big mayflies. So you can fish large flies out there on the brook trout streams. March browns are hatching really well. Caddis flies are hatching really well. As I said before, water temperatures are ideal. Extra shot of rain gives them a little more cover, makes them feel comfortable, makes them happy, makes them eat. So spread out, you all. Get out there. Find some new water if you want for this year. We'd love to put you on a cool new blue line. The beauty of right here, Rockingham and Augusta counties, is we're just completely surrounded by brook trout water. We've got, Shenandoah National Park and the Blue Ridge to the east, and we've got the George Washington National Forest and Alleghenies to the west, and hundreds of miles just right around here of good quality brook trout water. So get out there and enjoy it. You kind of can't go wrong with selecting your dry fly. All right. The managed water is fishing quite well. The state is still very busy out stocking. Remember, the state will continue to manage these and stock some of these streams and right up until June. Okay, so we're kind of coming towards the end of their season, but they're still out there putting fish in. Go to the DWR's website and click on the daily stocking schedule. It'll show you what they did today, what they did this past week, and weeks prior. But get out there and enjoy those, because the state will be wrapping up their stocking sometime in the next 3 to 4 weeks. All right. But our water levels on our bigger streams, our late harvest streams, is much improved. Everything came up a little bit. and is fishing better because we got that good shot of rain. If you go out this week, try and pick an overcast day, pick a day where there's a little bit of cloud cover and rain. That's going to help you on those big freestone streams as well as on our spring creeks. So spring creeks are fishing quite well. They were starting to get a little challenging with the water getting clear and a little bit low if you were out there at places like Mossy Creek or Buffalo Creek or Beaver on really clear sunny days. You got to be stealthy. You got to get low. You got to sneak around. Water levels don't come up a ton on those streams when we get rain, but certainly this week, getting rain every day and having clouds every day, if you're getting out there this week, that'll help you quite a bit, help conceal you, cover you up a little bit. Sulphurs are hatching. That's the main hatch to talk about on our spring creeks right now. Their arcata is popping off, and the first tricos of the year have been showing up, actually showing up in good enough numbers. I found last week several mornings, when I say mornings, the spinner falls usually hit around 10 o'clock, where fish were up and on rhythm, and they were already starting to key in on these tricos. Tricos are going to become far more important over the next month and through the summer as we lose a lot of our insects, but it's the start of a very prolonged hatch. The tricos will usually show up in May, and we don't usually lose them until November. And so it's a really, really important bug for everybody to get familiar with and know, and kind of learn the habits of that insect. All right, I'll help out with that as we go through the summer months and key you in on fishing the tricos. First few drakes showing up on some of the spring creeks as well. That's something really, really fun to look forward to, is fishing those huge spinner falls in the evening. So right now it's sulphurs, size 14s, nice and bright and yellow. If you want to fish the spinner fall, you can fish a rusty spinner as well. You can fish a parachute because parachutes work well for duns or spinners. And typically when we have a spinner fall, we do have both. We have the spinners coming down and we have some bugs hatching out at the same time. Comparaduns work really well as in addition to those other flies. So they're not too picky right now still. If you're there at the last light, the light is low, the fish feel happy, they're hungry, they haven't gotten too selective. We've had the spinner falls interrupted a little bit with this weather, right? So you go out there expecting it, you get a lot of wind, rain, thunderstorms, and that's it. That's all she wrote. You're not having it that night. Fish will be a little bit hungrier the next morning though, so you can get out there the next morning and enjoy catching them on anything else. Like little streamers are working well still. Dry droppers, I use big buoyant PMX flies and then hang a little nymph off the back. That works quite well. Smallmouth bass fishing has been really good. River got a little bit of a shot, which it kind of needed. I was out there a couple times last week on the river, and a lot of the typical spawning grounds that happen in some shallower waters had gotten like a little too shallow, right? So some of the mature fish had abandoned those areas, and what was left behind was either no fish or younger spawning fish. You know, your 12, 13, 14 inchers had moved into some of those shallow spawning spots. So here's where we are with the spawn. For those of you who pay attention to this and kind of keep up with it and want to know what the fishing's like, we have fish that have already spawned that are guarding nests. We have found eggs on some nests, okay? We have fish that have not spawned yet that are sweeping nests and are looking for a hen and hopefully will spawn. And then we have fish still that are just kind of in staging areas. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the bigger fish made nests in some of the deeper waters just because the water levels were getting low, all right? So if you see a fish sweeping and cleaning a nest, that's a fish that probably hasn't spawned yet. Once they have eggs in there, they don't sweep, they don't clean, the nests become harder to see. So if the water levels are low enough and clear enough for you to observe these things, I encourage you to check it out, learn a little bit more about it, come in and talk to us about it. We can help you out. It's not good practice to catch a fish or target a fish that is guarding eggs. You don't want to do that. You don't want to pull them away from that. The nest raiders will come in. There's all kinds of little fish around, sunfish especially, they're the biggest nest raiders. You catch that fish, you go down a rapid, you let him go somewhere else, and he may not be able to make his way back up to protect that nest. So fish for the juveniles, fish out in open water like riffles and rapids. You might be able to find a hen that's done spawning. When you're fishing in that kind of water this time of year, you're not going to disrupt a fish guarding eggs, okay? So there's big river, big water, lots of water where they absolutely do not spawn. In fact, there's very little water that is quality for spawning. So it's a way for you to go out and enjoy the river and not have to disrupt stuff. All right. Carp fishing was quite good last week because the water levels are low. Carp are eating like crazy. If you get low, clear water, it's quite good. And the musky fishing is starting to come on. So this is your window. For those of you who asked, the best time of year for musky fishing is usually from right now until things get a little bit warm, which will happen around 4th of July. So that's about it for now. We hope to see you all soon. Get in here, grab some gear. We are all stocked up, and we'll see you on the water.